All right, Janice, so what's the big difference between you and Michelle?
Wow. Well, I would say she's a bureaucrat and I'm a policymaker, and there's a very big difference. I am concerned about you as the taxpayer, how much money you are being asked to pay for all kinds of ideas. Ideas are great, but when it is affecting your pocket, I think you want me to be in Congress. And that's, you know, I love our cabinet secretaries, but that's their perspective.
And I asked Michelle, I'll ask you the same question. What do you say to people, Americans who are fiscal conservatives, who are concerned that maybe we're falling off an economic cliff in this country?
I think if we don't get our debt and deficit in order, that their fears are well-founded.
And
what can I tell you? And so continuing to talk about expanding healthcare programs without ever addressing where the money is coming from is simply foolish, but I think it is dishonest. It's, you know, our citizens deserve better. They need to know, are we really going to keep our word? I am worried at a very basic level. I talked to a veteran today whose care is extremely limited. He's 24 years old. He lost 3 limbs. He is going to be relegated to a very different life. And yet, with this spending frenzy that has gone on, we don't look at what's happening to his life. At some point, we have to set some priorities.
And Michelle then says, well, you're in favor of the Ryan budget and
Isn't that
cutting
interesting
Medicare.
that she says that all the time? She says, oh, you're in favor of the Ryan plan. I am happy to look at and consider the Ryan plan. It is the only plan that is out there. But I am a legislator, and I understand without a plan, you have very little to talk about. And once there is a plan on the table, then I am free to bring my better ideas, and I intend to do so. But I just love this discourse that you're for this. Well, you know, we're just beginning to talk about it, and I am ready to be in the arena to come up with the best ideas.
So what do you suggest we do about Medicare? I mean, the costs keep growing every day.
Of course they do. And at some point, we're going to have to make some real decisions. So here's some basic things that the Ryan Plan discusses at length that I agree with. If you are 55 or over, you can count on Medicare and Social Security being there as you understand it. But I understand plain old basic arithmetic. And if I stood here and told you that it will be the same for people under 55, it would be dishonest, and it is not what our country needs.
The polls show you're behind, Michelle. What do you do to make up the ground in the next month?
Well, I would say, but polls are just so exciting right now. So, and there have been a range of polls. So if I am to believe the Sandross poll, then in the last 3 weeks, I have made up 10 points. That's pretty impressive, and we are moving. And for me, I have this army of volunteers that are out making individual contact. At the end of the day, I believe this is still personal, but there's no doubt that we will take this to the airwaves, we'll take it to your mailbox, and continue this discussion. And I believe that when people start to consider how you actually act in a legislative body, you don't need another bureaucrat who's simply going to say, oh boy, let's go and spend all of this money, as opposed to somebody who is a good, solid policymaker who's going to ask the right questions that will enable our economy to grow.
National Republicans have not thrown much money at you in this election cycle, correct?
I don't expect them to throw any at me. They're not mad at me. I have all of their resources, but they are defending something like 38 incumbents. There are 11 open seats. I'm probably number 2 on the list, but there's only so many resources. And while I appreciate all of the assets that they have shared with me, I intend to get this done.
Have they given you any money at all?
Oh, no. No,
Okay.
Truly, I'm not even sure all 38 got money.
Well, if they see your poll, then you would think they might throw some money at you.
They might, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, as a strategist, what would you do? Would you protect what you have, or what's a 50-50 toss-up? Which this race is, and my latest polling still shows us within about 3 points. So I think we're pulling ahead.
All right, Janice Arnold-Jones, thanks for your time.
It is always a pleasure.